Should you draft Ladd McConkey in fantasy football this year? Let's talk about it. Ladd was very much the middle child of the 2024 receiving class last year. He was kind of mid at the beginning of the year, put on a show at the end of the year, but he was kind of buried between the elite season Malik Nabers had all year, Brian Thomas's explosive finish, and Marvin Harrison just kind of being, like the shock at Marvin Harrison being kind of mid. So no one really talked about Ladd, but despite that, he was really good last year. He finished as the wide receiver 13 and is currently ranked as the wide receiver 11 or the 21st overall player. So you're looking at a guy who's going probably last 2 or 3 picks of the second round or maybe slipping into the top of the third. And I think there's a lot to be excited about Ladd. As I mentioned, Ladd is going as the wide receiver 11 after being the 13th wide receiver last year, and it's important to note that Ladd was really kind of bad at the beginning of the year. At the beginning of the year, he had multiple games just less than 10 points as he was kind of just figuring out and getting his footing in the NFL. And to still finish as a top 15 wide receiver despite the objectively very bad start he had is really encouraging for what he can do in the future. He's also a clear number 1 wide receiver. Quentin Johnston, he had a better year last year. He didn't show anything that he really warrants, being a wide receiver 2 or getting any, notable or meaningful amount of targets more. Trey Harris, they drafted this year out of Ole Miss. He's a, interesting prospect. I hope he's good because the Chargers could really use additional pass help, but he's probably going to take some time to get used to the NFL, get in his gear, get his footing, and then, so Ladd's really operating in a receiving room by himself because, I told you about those 2 other wide receivers, and then they don't have a tight end, so it's really just Ladd is the receiving game. And, last year there was the worry that the Chargers could be run first, and there was this sentiment Justin Herbert's only going to throw the ball 15 times a game. There's going to be no work in the passing game. That doesn't work. Ask the Tennessee Titans. You can't just run the ball. And yes, I know the rushing game got better this year. Najee Harris is already an improvement over J.K. Dobbins, and they spent a first-round pick on Amari Hampton. They're going to run the ball. If you want to win NFL games, you still have to throw the ball. And Ladd is the premier pass catcher for this offense. And I think the main thing that makes me so in on Ladd McConkey, because I'm very in on Ladd McConkey, is the fact that there's so much room for improvement. Last year, he went 82 catches for 1,100 yards and 7 touchdowns. If he adds 20 catches and 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, that's a 1,500 season, 10 touchdowns. We're looking at a top 5 wide receiver. And I think that's very feasible. If he just improves from his start and does what he did at the end for all the season, I think he's going to be great. And that's why I'm giving him a grade of A, just because I think the improvement is very much there for Ladd.